Story 1. Disturbingly Dark Alleyway Encounter. As I wandered through the bustling streets of a foreign city, the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the cobblestone pathways. The aroma of exotic spices filled the air, mingling with the chatter of tourists and locals alike. Despite the vibrant energy of the tourist hotspot, a sense of unease crept over me as I found myself drawn towards a narrow alleyway, hidden from the prying eyes of the main thoroughfare. Curiosity mingled with apprehension as I stepped into the dimly lit passage, the sounds of the city fading into a distant hum. The narrow walls loomed high above me, their rough surfaces seemingly closing in with each step I took. A flickering light ahead beckoned me further, casting eerie shadows that danced along the ground like malevolent spirits. I quickened my pace, eager to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the alley, but a sudden movement caught my eye. A figure emerged from the shadows, their features obscured by the darkness. My heart pounded in my chest as I tried to make out their form, but they remained shrouded in mystery. A voice, cold and menacing, sliced through the silence. "You shouldn't be here," it hissed, sending a shiver down my spine. I tried to retreat, but invisible hands seemed to push me forward, towards the unknown entity that blocked my path. As I drew closer, the figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a face twisted with malice. Their eyes gleamed with a predatory hunger, and a cruel smile played upon their lips. I stumbled back in horror, realizing too late that I had stumbled into a trap laid by those who preyed on unsuspecting tourists in the dark underbelly of the city. Fear gripped me as I realized the true nature of my predicament. I was not the first to fall victim to their extortion schemes, nor would I be the last. The alleyway, once a mere shortcut off the beaten path, had become a hunting ground for those who thrived on the fear and desperation of their targets. With a sinking heart, I understood that escape was futile. The alleyway had ensnared me in its web of deceit, and I was at the mercy of those who lurked in the shadows. As the figure advanced towards me, their intentions clear, a sense of resignation washed over me. I was just another anonymous victim in a long line of unsuspecting prey. And as the darkness closed in around me, swallowing me whole, I knew that my fate had been sealed in that disturbingly dark alleyway encounter. The city's facade of hospitality had crumbled, revealing the true horrors that lurked beneath the surface, waiting to ensnare the unwary in their web of terror. Anonymous Spectator Story. Story 2. Malevolent Ride Sinister Encounter in Abandoned Warehouse. As I stepped out of the bustling city streets and into the eerie silence of the abandoned warehouse, a shiver ran down my spine. The air was thick with a musty scent, and the only sound was the echo of my own footsteps against the concrete floor. I had been lured here by whispers of a malevolent ride that promised to show me the darker side of the city, but now I feared I had made a grave mistake. The warehouse loomed before me like a giant beast, its windows shattered and its walls covered in graffiti that seemed to writhe and twist in the dim light. I could feel eyes watching me from the shadows, and a sense of dread settled in the pit of my stomach. But I pressed on, driven by a morbid curiosity that I could not shake. As I made my way deeper into the warehouse, the darkness seemed to grow thicker around me, swallowing up the feeble beam of my flashlight. I could hear the sound of distant whispers, like the murmurs of lost souls trapped in the decaying walls. And then, suddenly, a figure stepped out of the shadows. He was tall and gaunt, his face hidden beneath a tattered hood, and his eyes gleamed with a malevolent light. He beckoned to me with a skeletal hand, and I felt a cold sweat break out on my skin. I knew then that I was not alone in this forsaken place, and that whatever awaited me here was far more sinister than I had ever imagined. The figure led me to a rusted carousel that creaked and groaned in the stillness of the warehouse. Its once vibrant colors had faded to a sickly gray, and the painted animals seemed to leer at me with twisted grins. The figure gestured for me to take a seat, and with a sinking heart I obeyed. As the carousel began to turn, I felt a wave of dizziness wash over me, and the world spun in a sickening blur. The figures on the carousel came to life, their eyes glowing with an unholy light, and I realized with horror that they were not animals at all, but grotesque caricatures of human faces twisted in agony. I tried to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. I was trapped in this malevolent ride, at the mercy of forces beyond my comprehension. And as the carousel spun faster and faster, I knew that I was hurtling towards a final tragic end. In the darkness of the abandoned warehouse, my screams were swallowed up by the shadows, and my fate was sealed. I had dared to explore the darker side of the city, and now I would pay the ultimate price for my curiosity. Anonymous Spectator Story. Story 3. Last Whisper Dark Alley Drug Deal Gone Wrong. As I navigated the labyrinthine streets of a bustling tourist hotspot, my senses were on high alert. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices, and the chatter of unfamiliar languages filled the narrow alleys. I had been warned about the dangers lurking in the shadows of this vibrant city, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to unfold. I had been drawn into the underbelly of the city by whispers of a lucrative opportunity, a chance to make a quick profit by facilitating a discreet drug deal for a group of shady individuals. As I made my way to the designated meeting spot, a dark alleyway reeking of decay and desperation, a sense of foreboding crept over me. The alley was dimly lit, the flickering street lamp casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance and twist with a life of their own. I could hear the muffled sounds of footsteps echoing off the walls, growing closer with each passing moment. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized I was not alone. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, their features obscured by a hooded cloak. A chill ran down my spine as I recognized the glint of a knife in their hand. Panic surged through me as I realized I had walked into a trap, a pawn in a deadly game of deception and greed. The figure spoke in a low, menacing voice, demanding the drugs I had been tasked with delivering. With trembling hands, I reached into my pocket and produced the package, hoping to appease my would-be assailant. But as I extended my arm, a sudden movement caught my eye. From the shadows, another figure emerged, their face twisted in a cruel smile. It was then that I realized the true nature of the situation I had stumbled into. This was not a simple drug deal gone wrong. It was a carefully orchestrated scheme of extortion and betrayal. As the two figures closed in on me, their intentions clear, a wave of terror washed over me. I was trapped, a helpless victim in a deadly game with no way out. In a final act of desperation, I made a split-second decision that would change the course of the night. With a sudden burst of adrenaline, I lunged forward, knocking the knife from the first figure's grasp. In the chaos that ensued, I managed to break free from their grasp and sprinted down the alley, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind me. As I emerged back into the crowded streets, gasping for breath and heart pounding in my ears, I realized the true cost of my brush with danger. The allure of easy money had led me down a path of darkness and deceit, where the line between predator and prey blurred into a nightmare of survival. Anonymous spectator story.